So I'm really happy to have you all here. I look forward to going through this circuit and getting our cores on board with things. And let's see. So there's a couple guiding rules I want to lay out before we get started. I do appreciate everybody staying on mute while we're doing the workout. I do want to make sure that we keep this efficient so that people that want to work out and then get on with their evening are able to do it. So I'd love to have questions from you all, but I also am going to request that you either hold them till the end, or you can always pop them into the chat and I'll be sure to review that at the end. I will stay on as long as it needs to be for me to answer any and all questions that you may have. So equipment list for this workout. You don't have to have anything, but there are certain moves that will feel better to you if you have equipment. So what you can do if you have it is go ahead and grab your yoga block. If you don't have that, a pillow or a foam roller works well. You also want to have 2 pillows if possible. Blankets can do in a pinch. You want to have a spot on the floor to place your feet on the wall. You also want to have a soft spot on the floor where you can lie comfortably, whether that be on a rug or on a yoga mat. Then this is something I added kind of last second. A rolled up yoga mat might come in handy. Again, none of this is critical by any means, but a mat that stays rolled up will be nice to explore with. If you have that, again, you can use pillows instead. You'll see what I'm talking about as we're jumping in. And then a light resistance band. So usually the yellow type color is the best for the light, but red, yellow, that kind of thing are usually good. But again, if you don't have that band, I'll be able to show you other ways, and we will be attaching the band to something. So a heavy weight or a railing or that kind of thing is really great. All right, so that's all the equipment. And I just wanted to mention too, that I went over in depth in my last call, how to tell if you have a diastasis. So if you're interested in getting that recording, feel free to pop your email into the chat right now and I'll be able to get that for you. And I just want to make sure that everybody on this call is familiar with, that and knowing whether or not they have a diastasis. You're more than welcome to do the call either way, but I know that it can be nice to be able to get that education on whether or not you have one. So many gymnasts do have a diastasis recti, whether they've had children or not. And it's basically a thinning of the lineal alba. I'm not going to dive super deep into this because I already did that on the last call, but I'm just kind of glossing through to make sure we're all on the same page. So the lineal alba is a band of connective tissue in our midline, and that tissue can get stretched out from various things, whether it be from hernia or from gymnastics, other sports, pregnancy, straining our abs. There's so many things that can cause it. So you're not alone if you do have one. All right. The tissue can heal, but it does require certain exercises in many cases. Sometimes surgery is recommended or even needed possibly. But again, we're really here today because we want to learn exercises that can help us. So we're going to focus more on that side of things. And if you want to leave a diastasis untreated, you can. I mean, nobody's going to stop you. However, it's not really a super safe thing to do, especially if you're doing high level sports. The diastasis could get worse. It also can leave you more susceptible to having a hernia. So these are the reasons that we really do want to make sure we're able to take care of our core and learn the exercises that might be able to help us. So again, in the last call, I went over how to check for your DR and drop your email into the chat. If you want that, I'll be sure to get that to you later on this evening. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a circuit workout, which should be really cool. And we're going to learn some of the moves that can help this condition. I teach these moves every day at work for my day job, and I wanted to bring some of this content to you adult gymnasts, especially because I'm so passionate about the sport and just helping people reach their optimum level that they can and not feeling like an injury or limitation is holding them back. So the thing I mentioned before about your diastasis is people that don't have a diastasis still can benefit from these exercises. What we're going to do is really make sure our abs are balanced. So I am going to show you a few things on myself to help make this make more sense. I will warn you that I have a pretty big scar from one of the surgeries that I had many years ago. I'm good now, there's no problem, but just to not be alarmed about that, I am going to go ahead and show you my stomach so that we can talk more deeply about things. So here we go. Let me actually lower this just a little bit. So it's more straight on for you guys. All right, so my belly, here we are. Now we have what we call the 6-pack muscles, which run up and down. So if we have very little body fat, you're going to see those muscles kind of popping out. They look like little raviolis. And then we're going to have our external obliques, which come from the side, and they help knit our ribs in and down. Then we have the internal obliques, which run the opposite way. So those are more your twisting muscles or your pulling in your rib cage. Then we have lower down here, we have muscles called TAs or transverse abdominis muscles. Those muscles really help our core work like a corset. So it holds everything in. You can't really see those muscles, but they're super important. Most gymnasts have stronger rectus muscle or six-pack muscle and even hip flexors, which are a little bit off topic. But those two things are stronger, and then their transverse are a lot weaker. I've even met elite gymnasts whose TAs are basically not even there. And that's going to set them up for also back pain, in addition to the diastasis and other issues. So the balance of abs is super important, and you can't always tell by looking at somebody unless you're really aware of all these nuances, which is really why you want somebody like me to help design the program for you, so you don't have to worry about that stuff and you can just do what you need to do. So getting into the workout here, we're going to start with 3 moves for the first round. I will show you the moves first, and then I'll actually have you, it depends on your learning style. If you want to watch, that's cool. A lot of people find that when they try the moves, they can learn even faster. So it's really up to you. I'm going to show you the moves first, just kind of casually and easily. And then we're going to do a time circuit where we'll do about 30 seconds of each of these 3 moves. That way it'll be easy to learn and you'll be good to just jump in without having to take notes and stuff like that. We'll end up having a second circuit where we'll go through that one, and then that'll really be it. So just the 2 circuits, but they're going to be 3 moves each. Shouldn't be, terrible, but it should be enough that you'll feel that you've gotten a good workout in there. So let's see, demonstrating the first round, I'm going to go ahead and show you the first moves here, and I will be moving my camera. Feel free to move your device as well. So the first one is one that you're going to want pillows, and I'll start showing you. And then also remember too, that I'll be able to talk you through this when we actually go through circuit, and I'll be able to watch as well through the second circuit. So there'll be plenty of time for you to learn and to watch. So this is 2 pillows here, and you'll see that I've got them staggered so that my shoulders go here and my head goes on the top one. If you only have 1 big pillow, that's fine. And I actually have a balloon here. We're probably not going to do the balloon one today. I think we'll just pretend balloon. I think that makes more sense for the first day because I don't really know all your backgrounds. And this one is called 90-90, which is a breathing exercise. And you'll see that my feet are wider than my knees. I'm squeezing the block. It's harder to do when the block is the skinny way. It's easier to do when the block is the medium way. So you get to choose that. So you're here, you're going to lie down with your palms up. We're going to take a big breath in. And then we're going to breathe out. We're going to squeeze the block, gently peel your bottom glutes off the floor, but your tailbone stays on the floor. It will seem tricky to do, but you want to try to get that. The glutes come up, but the tailbone and sacrum stay heavy and stay down. So you're kind of splitting those 2. Breathe in again. This time I want you to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your lips. Try to make your exhale longer than your inhale. And again, breathing in. And out. You're squeezing the block as you're breathing out. I'm going to add, we're going to drag down the wall a bit with our feet. You don't actually want to move your feet, but you want to drag down so that you're engaging the back of your legs. So I know this is a lot of stuff. Even if you get half of it, you'll be doing just fine. All right, this is something that does take practice. Let's try one more. Breathing in. Breathing out, squeezing the block. All right, and that one comes from the PRI, or the Posture Restoration Institute. I did not invent that, but it's a really great one to help close a diastasis. All right, so then the next movement we'll be doing, grab my clipboard. Where did that go? So we will be doing a dead bug movement on our back, and this one is fabulous for bringing on the T8s. Okay, so for this one, we actually don't need any equipment, although you might benefit from a little bit of a pillow if you know that you have forward head posture. So forward head posture, if you're sitting here and your head's kind of here, that's a strong example. Head back here wouldn't be a forward head at all. So just a little bit of forward head is what most of us will have. The pillow does help us because it helps us round our back a little bit more. And that's going to give you better access to use your abs. So I like to use just one pillow for this. All right, and I'm going to show my belly now so you guys can see this. And I'll put my arm out of the way so you can see it better. All right, so here what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in. While we do that, we want to feel our side ribs expanding as best as we can, and then breathe out and pull the ribs in a bit. And this is your brace. So now I'm braced. If somebody were to punch me in the belly, it wouldn't hurt me. I'm braced. And now holding that brace, I'm going to march a leg up and down. Really, really, really slow. The slower, the harder. So make it hard on yourself. You don't want your pelvis to move and you don't want your spine to move. You can place your thumb on your base of your ribs and your index finger on your hips. If you feel even a millimeter of movement, it's too much and you're not getting the benefit on this. Some people it's too hard, okay? It was for me when I first learned this. So if it's too hard, instead you can slide out really, really slow and you can slide back. Okay, so this is really, this workout that we're doing today is more of a beginner diastasis workout. There are other more advanced variations. We're not going to cover those today, but that's the premise of that one. Now, I will give you one more tip. If you place your hands over your lower belly, you want to feel a little bit of firming there, but you don't want it to be rock hard. If it's rock hard, that means you're drawing too many muscles into the party. So our TAs should get a little bit firm, but something like a 20% tension is perfect. And if you relax your brace, you'll feel that go away. The other thing you can try is you can try drawing your pelvic floor up toward your belly. If you do that, you can even practice that just lying down. You should feel those muscles pop into your hands because your pelvic floor works in tandem with your TAs. So that's something that you can explore while you do this movement. All right, so that's your dead bugs. Okay, and then the third one that we'll cover for the first circuit is hands and knees breathing. This one, you don't need anything at all, although I will give you guys the option of squeezing something between your knees. So you can try it both ways. You can certainly do it without that, but here we are in our hands and knees. And what you'll be doing is first making sure you're set up so that your knees are under your hips and your wrists are under your shoulders. You want a slight bend in your elbows. And you want your elbows, the pointy part of them, to be pointing as far back as you can. Okay, so now we're going to breathe in to our back and sides, trying to make this part expand as fast as we can. Breathe in. As we breathe out, we're going to firm up our abs. They'll generally rise a bit higher toward your spine. All right, you're going to hold that. You're going to breathe into your back and sides again. And breathe out. Think about having a long neck. You don't want to shrug up way high with your shoulders. Now, if you put something between your knees, whether it be a roller or a yoga block, you might find that your abs firm up more. If you find that, great. The block helps you. You want to use that. If it doesn't, then get rid of it. No worries. So one more here. And breathing out. Awesome. So hopefully that all made sense and we can get into our first circuit. So for the first round, I'm primarily going to demonstrate for anybody who wants more visual, but for the second round, I'm going to make sure to take a peek at everybody who's doing it and give any tips that I think would be helpful for you guys. All right, so get ready for your first round of your 90-90. And bear with me, I'm still kind of learning the Zoom settings. I want to put it on gallery so I can see more people. Cool. All right, so go ahead and get ready with your props, and I'll be talking through it as we're doing it. You've got the pillows, you've got your block, and get started. Breathe into your back and sides. Breathe out, squeeze your block, peel your lower glutes off the ground. Sacrum is heavy, you're dragging down with your heels. Try holding your exhale for that extra ab burn. And breathe in. Nice and long and big, and breathe out. Get all the air out. Drag down with your feet. If any of these movements tonight bother your stomach or your abs or make them hurt, or you feel a bulging in your midsection, stop. It's not worth it. We're trying to heal our body here. Breathe in again. We'll do 2 more. As you breathe in, you can relax the squeeze in the block a bit and breathe out all the air out. Purse your lips a bit to make it a little bit more resistance for your body. And last one. Get all the air out on the exhale. Feel your ribs knitting together, heels down. And once all the air is out, you can relax. If you trigger a cough on that one, you'll know you're doing it super good, because that is what happens when we get all the air out. That one is great for closing the angle of our rib cage. If it is easy for you and you have no significant diastasis going on, or you've been doing the movement for several weeks, you can feel free to add a balloon, and you can inflate a balloon during that one. So next we're going to move into our dead bugs. All right, so dead bugs on your back. And then the one pillow is good for most people. Feel free to go without if you have experience with this and you don't need that. But I do find I get better ab engagement with the pillow, so I use it. All right, and then we will be doing the breathe into the back and sides. If it confuses you about breathing into back and sides, you'll want a recording of my last call. I go over that in depth. Breathe out, engage your abs. Now we're going to gently and slowly march the legs. Placing thumb on the ribs, index finger on the hips is great to give yourself that feedback. Think about it as a knee toward your face, and keep your bent knee the same. Don't bend your knee any more or less as you march. Good. Nice and slow, no movement. If you're losing your brace, feel free to take an inhale, exhale breath, reset and continue. There's no need to do it all in a row. Quality over quantity here as well. And we'll build up the endurance with time. So the longer we work these exercises, you'll find you can go longer without needing another breath. While you're holding your brace, you can take a little sips of air, but not enough to lose your brace. We're going for 5 more seconds. Keep it up. Beautiful. Really keeping your neck and shoulders relaxed. Perfect. All right. And now it's time for the hands and knees. So whether you squeeze something or not, that is up to you. I usually do best with a squeeze. There's all types of tests we can do to figure out if you should squeeze or not. That's a little bit beyond the scope of today, but go ahead and do it by feel for today. So we're going to do that nice setup of shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, elbows soft, pointing back. Breathe into your back and sides. Breathe out. Belly is braced up. Now, this is the trick. Keep your belly there while you breathe it again into your back and sides. You'll probably get a smaller breath. That's okay. But we're training your abs to hold a brace while you're breathing, which is an important thing for gymnastics. Exhale. And again, inhale. If my breathing doesn't match yours, feel free to go off on your own. Exhale. Most of us can breathe a little bit longer than we think if we get that encouragement to do it. Let's do 2 more breaths. Inhale, long neck. We want to keep those shoulders down away from the ears, and exhale. You've got starfish hands. You're gripping the mat with all of your fingers, which is also, by the way, great for handstands. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. All right, if you'd like a drink, now's a great time to grab it. And in a few seconds, we'll get ready for round 2. Once you guys know this workout, it shouldn't take that long. It's just the teaching of it takes a little bit extra time. So let's go ahead and do the second round. I'll be watching. The purple shorts, are you Miriam? Sorry to make you get up. I just want to make sure I got your name right.
Yeah, it's Mariama.
Mariama, got it. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's get ready for the second round of these. Perfect. All right, so we'll get started breathing into our back and sides here. And I do like for this one, arms flat by your sides. It helps keep the chest relaxed. Good, and exhale, getting all the air out. It's good to try to hold the exhale if you're comfortably able to do this one, because that will help strengthen your abs and help pull the ribs in even more, helping close the diastasis. Inhale again. If anybody feels lightheaded, feel free to take a break. Sometimes that can happen when we breathe really deeply. Exhale, get all the air out. Beautiful. We're dragging down the wall a bit, but not moving the feet. We're squeezing the block. Hold. Nice big inhale breath. Make sure those feet are as wide as we can get them, Allison. And that might be your max, and that's totally fine. I'm just checking in with that. That works, something called internal rotation. You guys can continue on your own now with your breath. We'll do 2 more. So the more we can internally rotate, meaning that our knees are closer together than our feet, we're going to get more hip opening, which indirectly helps the diastasis. Good. Check in with your chest. Make sure you're not gripping and pulling down with your chest. If you are, you can always move one arm over your head. Usually it's the right side that likes to grip, if anybody's feeling that. All right, when you're finished with this last breath, we can get ready for the dead bug. That looked really good from you too. I like it. Okay, so dead bug, whether we're doing the sliding heels or whether we're doing the marches, you can pick your level there. We're making sure too that our abs are not bulging up while we're doing any of this. And you can check that with your hands or with just visually looking, which is another reason the pillow can be nice, because you can see your belly and that can be helpful. Okay, so doing an inhale breath, exhale, brace. Once you've got that nice brace, we're going to go ahead and do the slow marches or the slides. And when you march, so Mariama, I would like you to think of more knee to over your hip when you march. So you're going to pull it up. Yeah, just like that. That's beautiful. That's going to give you more abs. Good. I love the speed, Mariama. That's great. And Allison, it actually gets easier for our belly once our knees go past our hips. So I do want you to try to stop at your hips if you can. And the slower, the better on those. Remember, these are the transverse abdominis muscles. These are the muscles that help anticipate our movement. And when we move too fast, they really don't have a chance to work. Once we've trained them to work, they can become automatic. But until they're there, we're going to do much better when we move slowly. That's great. Let's do 5 more seconds. Everyone's looking good. Feeling for movement with our hands as well. In the hips and the ribs. Perfect. You guys can stop. Awesome work. We can get ready for hands and knees breathing next. Okay, so elbows are, when I say soft, what I'm talking about is you just don't want to do that classic gymnast, like hyperextension of the elbow, kind of like jutting forward. So we want it to be, it looks pretty straight, but just a very slight micro bend in that elbow is wonderful. And then really spinning back. So spinning our elbow rather than winging out, we pull it back under a bit. And you do that with your scapula muscles. So try that for the setup. And now we want to form a neutral spine. Allison, I'll have you pull your mid back up as best as you can to form a flat back. That's perfect. And you want to hold that. Let's go ahead and take our inhale breath. Exhale, keep a long neck. Nice, abs are up now. Keeping your abs up, you're going to try to inhale again. That looks really good, Mariama. I like it. And breathe out. Perfect. Challenging yourself to hold the exhale for a bit. Keeping abs there, we're breathing in again. Nice. And breathing out. Beautiful. I'll have you guys do 2 more at your own pace. Now this can be progressed to planks, whether it be on the knees or the feet. I find it doesn't go well the first day to do planks, but the same principle can be applied to your planking. Okay, perfect. So if you worked hard, you should feel kind of tired. Even that wasn't a ton of time, but you really want to be pushing yourself to work hard during these exercises, because obviously they're what you put in. If you just kind of go through the motions and you don't really make yourself feel it, you might not get a lot done. But if you commit to the intention of it, you're going to get a lot more out of it. So we are going to move on to the next little grouping here of 3 moves. The first one is a sideline knee lift. I'm going to show you guys with the option of the roll-up yoga mat. You certainly don't need this, but it actually makes it just a smidge harder. So if you don't have the mat, you're just going to put your feet on the ground. We have the option of using a yoga block like this. So again, I'll show you the different options. Kind of reconfiguring how I show this. I usually show it in a different part of the room. I am going to put my head on here. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it a little bit more comfortable for your neck. All right, so we've got here, the basic move is we're going to stretch our top knee forward of the bottom, and we're going to lift our legs. The trick to it though is to try to do it without letting your pelvis rock back at all. Some people, it's too much for them to do that, and they need to start with one leg and then the next, okay? So either way, and then there's even a third way of using the block. And once again, you have the choice of skinny, medium, big wouldn't make a lot of sense for this movement. But if you have the block here, then you would actually lift that way. That's going to be the harder one. All right, so that's that one. Okay. And then we have chin tuck headlifts. Chin tuck headlifts are super great for our core. So we do have actually 3 diaphragms in our body. We've got one in our pelvic floor, one in our middle, and one in our neck. And any gymnast will know that your neck muscles really do need to be pretty strong. However, we can be strong on the sides, the ones that kind of pop out, or we can be strong in the deep ones. This movement really helps your deep neck muscles, which are really, really important for helping heal diastasis. So you can squeeze a yoga block or foam roller between your knees. That's going to help bring your whole core together a little bit better. And then what we're going to do is, once again, inhale into back and sides, exhale, abs brace. Then I recommend, if you have a ponytail, lightly grabbing that and kind of using that to hover your head off the ground. It's almost too small to see. So small that all you could really do is slip a piece of paper out from behind you. If you need to, you can always hold your head gently. You can do it with 2 hands as well, like that. So we're really just trying to hover it and hold it. And if you do it right, you'll actually feel your belly muscles working, which is kind of cool. What you don't want though is what I just did when I lifted my head up and these muscles kind of pop out. You don't want to see like large hunking neck muscles popping out. That shows that you're using superficial abs and you're not using the deep neck muscles. I'm sorry, you're not using the superficial neck muscles, but instead you want to use the deep ones. So these guys popping out is a sign that we're superficial, which is what we don't want. And then the last one is a really fun one called half kneeling rotations. So I unfortunately tore my rotator cuff this spring. I can't show you with 2 arms, but I'm going to show you with 1, and you'll be able to figure out 2 arms is just the same thing, but you'll have the 2 arms. All right, so for this, what you're going to do is have your legs like so. So this band, now the band is optional. The band is coming from my left and my right leg is in front. I know on Zoom things can be a little confusing. So again, I'm just going to show you with the 1 arm. This is my like pretend arm. What we're doing here is we're thinking about our rib, opposite rib to hip. So again, it's like a lot of lefts and rights, but the band is coming from my left. I'm on my left knee and I'm pulling my left rib to my right hip. And I will say all this again, I promise. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to move the arms because our ab moved and our rib moved, not like a chopping. It's not a chop. All right, it's a very subtle thing, and which is why you don't even need the band really. You could just chop your arms and you can feel it that way too. You do want to think about reaching through your pinky side of your hand. So when you're reaching, you want to think about like, this is me not really reaching that much. And if I reach extra, It almost looks like go-go gadget, kind of like trying to catch my Jaeger at nationals and they can't quite get it, right? So really, really reaching through that pinky side is going to help you a lot on that one. So what it would look like in motion is more of just here and then back, and then here and then back. So that's the third one. So we'll go ahead and start together the circuit. And so it'll be the sideline knee lifts first, picking your variation that you think will work best. Feel free to switch it up if you would like during it as well. So we're going to do obviously both sides. You can start with any side you'd like. Go ahead and get started. And I'll be doing it to show once again. Okay. Something for your neck is always welcomed if needed. Just helps to keep everything in a neutral alignment. So I've got my block. And I'm going to think about top knee stretches forward, and I'm going to gently lift my knees. There's not going to be a ton of motion here. If you're way up to here, you've got to be rolling backwards. And the goal here is to keep stacked with your hips, be controlling this. If at any point I say freeze, you should be able to stop your legs and literally hold them there. I'm not going to play that game with you guys, but you get what I'm saying. If I were to say freeze, are you in control, or are you flinging your legs around and you're really not controlling your movement? All right, so let's do 5 more seconds. It's normal to feel some inner thigh. It's normal to feel some hips working as well. All of that's great. This one works your TAs as well as your obliques. Okay, and go ahead and switch. Some of you guys might be pretty strong and this might not be enough time for you. If you decide to do the workout on your own in the future, feel free to make it as long as you need to. I do find that timing it works better than counting, because when we count, we tend to just get obsessed with how many we're doing, which this type of exercise, you're really better off focusing on how it feels. So a timer can work well. Let's go ahead and do the second side. Your top knee is stretched forward, and that's being stretched forward from your hip. Guys, it's coming right from your hip, stretching and reaching. You might find one side feels a heck of a lot harder to do. If you notice when you do side planks, one of the sides feels harder. That's exactly what this is. It's just that dominance of which side, you write with, which side you do gymnastics on, and all of that stuff can interplay with it. So that's okay. Sometimes I'll have people do extra for their tougher side to help it catch up. Other times it will just catch up on its own, which is fine. So no worries on that. Just do your best. You might even have to do a different version on one side and the other, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to review real quick the single leg ones that can be done as well. You also want to try to keep a little bit of a rounded back here. You almost want to think fetal position, especially with gymnastics. Most of us have a bit of an arched back to begin with. So if we think fetal, we'll quite often end up straight. But this exercise, we are better off being a little bit rounded if we can. All right, sweet. So now we'll go into those half kneeling rotations. And if you don't have the band, feel free to just use a pretend band. Sometimes that's actually better because it allows us to focus more on what we're doing. Okay, so you're going to have whichever side your band is coming from, you want that side knee to be down. So my band's coming from my left, I'm down with my left knee. Okay. I've got my arms approximately at belly button level. Okay, 2 arms is perfect as long as you don't have a torn rotator cuff like I do, then go for it. I'm telling you, getting old is no fun. Okay, so really slow. I'm just going to get rid of that and just do this. So I'm trying to bring my left rib to my right hip. Now it's obviously not going to make it there, but that's what we're trying to do. We're closing like an X, closing it up. But it's subtle, and it should feel when you stop almost like, man, I'm tired, but I don't really know like what is tired. It just kind of feels exhausting. It's like a relief to stop. And if you feel that, you're doing it correctly. Don't let your hips move. You can squeeze your glute on the bottom leg to keep yourself nice and secured where you're very solid base here. Let's do another 5 seconds. And so the arms forward just helps because you're getting a reach. There's a muscle here called the serratus, and it helps connect our upper body to our abs. You don't really need to do the arm part, but I do find that it helps if you can. So let's switch sides. And I know it's hard with the band and it's like crazy, but again, when you do it by yourself, you can set it up however you want. There's no camera work to worry about. So here I'm doing my let's see, right rib to left hip, and I have my left knee forward. You also want to try, if you can, to settle your hips even. Most of us, when we set up, we're going to be like one way up high. So try to settle them down. If you find you're unable to do it, no matter how hard you try, kneeling on a yoga block is a cool trick to help you even out your hips. You'll get better results from this closing a diastasis if your hips are even. Also, you want to make sure when you set up that you're on railroad tracks and not on a tightrope. So I know it's kind of hard with the angle, but if I had railroad tracks here and here, my legs would be on them. A tightrope is like being on a beam. We don't want that. We want to be more evenly spaced. Okay, so I'm bringing that rib to my hip. Let's see, 5 more seconds. Like when the kitties show up. That cat looks so much like my cat. Wow, that's crazy. Like almost the same cat looking. My cat is named after Maggie Nichols. We'll be able to chat about cats later. I know I said we weren't going to talk a lot. Let's go ahead and go back to the first movement, everybody, and I'll be sure to watch everyone real close. The first one is the sideline knee lift. And that one, you'll have your feet against the wall. The yoga block, like I was saying, feet up on a yoga mat will intensify the level a bit. But again, that might not even be appropriate for you if this stuff is new to you, so don't worry about it. I just wanted to introduce all the different options we have. All right, so go ahead and lift those knees for me. Beautiful, Mariama, looks good. Really trying not to rock the hips back as we're lifting. And so I will say, if we can't get a good 3 inches off the floor, then I think you'd be better off doing the one leg at a time. That's what I think. Now, it is best to keep those feet against the wall, Allison. If you have a wall there, you can put your feet on. If you don't, we can improvise for today, but the wall does help. What that does is it anchors our pelvis so that our abs are what are moving around and we're not just using our butt muscles, which are fine to work, but this one is more designed to help us with the abs. That's better. And again, Allison, as slow as you can do is better. I know it's hard as a gymnast to go slow. We like to do everything fast. All right, let's switch sides, guys. That drove me nuts when I was first learning this stuff. Like, I was like, oh, I just want to do it all super fast. And it just wasn't helping me at all. And I learned my lesson. I slowed down. You can get started whenever you're ready. Good, Mariama. It's hard for me to tell with the angle, Mariama, but just check in and make sure that you're 90 degrees to the wall and that you're not further away. When in doubt, I like a little bit closer to the wall just because it gives us more abs. So Allison, just make sure that you don't rock onto your back as you're doing this. Really try to stay completely grounded. If I were to look at your nice, cute American flag t-shirt, it shouldn't be moving. Keep that still for me. And just lift those knees. Yeah. Allison, I actually think, especially because you don't have the wall, I think you're probably better off with just the one leg than the other. So it kind of looks like a little, you can stop, Mariama, that's enough. If you just go up, up, really slow down, down, and keep your feet on the ground, I think you'll get more out of that, especially if you don't have access to a wall right now. Okay, I think that'll be a better option for you. Really make sure that you stay on your side. Do not let your butt cheeks touch the floor. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Even more on your side. You're rocking back even so. There you go. Perfect. You got it now. That's great. All right, wonderful. Let's go on to the chin tuck headlifts. And I will tell you guys, I oftentimes have people work with me multiple sessions before they've really mastered these. It's hard to get it in a day. So you're all doing awesome. All right, so elevated head is usually best for this. We want to squeeze with the roller. Okay. And I should be demonstrating this. I said I was going to demonstrate. All right, so onto your back. And we will do that squeezing with the roller or the block the whole time. So we're trying to hover our head. You're trying to do it without lifting your chin up a lot. So keeping your chin neutral. You don't want to tuck it either. You want to just keep it neutral, eyes on the ceiling. You're hovering for as long as you can do. So I'm going to let you guys individualize that. And if you want to place your hands on your lower belly, you should feel that engage and then let go as you drop your head. If you don't feel that, make sure to ask me at the end and I can work through it with you one-on-one. So we want to feel right above the pubic bone, a little bit of engagement as we're holding the head. If you can shoot for 10 seconds, that's great. You probably won't get that right away. If this is really hard for your neck and your neck is dying and it's really, really bad, you can try pressing your tongue against the roof of your mouth and gently sliding it back. And that might help your neck feel a little bit stronger. You can grab your ponytail. That's a great method. Imagining just lifting your head enough that you could slip a piece of paper out from underneath. Okay. Oh, we have more cats coming out. Must be supper time. Looking good. Make sure that we're lifting up, keeping that neutral head. Do not tuck your chin to your chest. Good. Awesome. So let's go on to the half kneeling rotations. I love the roll-ups. It's so great. Regular people never sit up that way. It's awesome. All right. So whether you're using a band or not, do the rotations. Okay, I'm actually wrong side. So my band is coming from my left. I've got my right knee forward and I'm pulling my left rib to my right hip gently. So the best person at doing this in the whole world is maybe going to move about an inch. So if you're moving more than an inch, you're doing something a little bit off here from our goal. And our goal is to use our arms to make our rib get closer to our hip. Yeah, exactly. Good. When we think about what muscle we're working, it is proven that we use the muscle more. So you're imagining the muscles around your one rib moving toward that hip. Go ahead and switch sides. That's it. Okay, getting those hips even. Beautiful. You want to slightly tuck your tailbone under just a little bit. So that would be, rather than kind of out here, we're going to tuck just a little bit and then squeezing that glute as we're doing it. Okay. So really, really small. So now on this side, I'm bringing my right rib toward my left hip. Very, very subtle and small. You almost feel like your abs are getting smaller and more narrow as you're doing it. You feel like the distance between your ribs and your hip bone is getting closer together. If you want, you can even hold that close feeling where the rib and the hip bone are closer and just take a few extra breaths. Sometimes holding in that end position can really feel like it's burning the muscle that much more, and you're going to get that great training effect with that. All right, awesome. Let's go back to the first exercise, and I will be watching closely here. So sideline knee lift. This will be our last round. And we'll have plenty of time for questions if anybody has those. Oh, we've got, is that a dog? We've got like all kinds of things going on. This is cool. Okay, so sideline knee lifts, making sure we're stacked with the hips. Beautiful. Good. The slower, the better. Challenge yourself to go up for 5 and down for 5. And remember, we're not doing a number, we're just doing it for time. So you don't gain anything by going fast. Really, really nice. I love that top knee stretched forward, Mariama. That is gorgeous. That's perfect. And that also helps loosen up our hips and make them a little bit more flexible and free, which is another cool thing. Let's do 5 more seconds on this side. There it goes, Allison. I like it. Nice. The speed looks really good. I love that. Nice. Let's switch. This one sometimes leaves people with sore inner thighs the next day. So if you feel like you have that, It's from this exercise. Just a little FYI there. Nice. This one's funny too, because a lot of times when we first try it, it almost feels impossible to do it. And then it quickly gets better. So that's the case where you would then switch your yoga block to maybe making it the medium way, or even really advanced will be adding a weight to your knee. So you could just slap like a 5-pound dumbbell on that knee and hold it there. Again, that's probably for not tonight, but that's an idea for you to progress this. I'll show it quick while we're doing this. Let's do a couple more. All right, so just to show quick without the block, you would just have that weight on there and you would lift the legs. And you would still use the block. I'm just demonstrating the weight part. So that's an option once you guys are super great at this one. And you can really just go up and weight as available as you can. Cool, so let's go on to the chin tuck headlifts. And you'll be on your back for this one, squeezing that item between the knees. And I'll do a little pelvic demonstration later about that, why the squeezing helps. That'll be kind of cool once we're finished with the workout. Okay, so squeezing the block, gently lifting that head, whether it be that your fingertips around your ears and you're lifting, or you're lifting your ponytail, or you might be strong enough to not need to do that, but very few people I meet are. So the idea here is to feel this deep in your neck. And Allison, I can't see your head. If you want me to see that, you want to adjust the camera just a bit. Nice, Mariama. Try to lift even less. It should be almost too small for me to see. And you want to feel it deep in your neck, almost like you're choking just a little bit. Nice. So Allison, you are tipping your head just a smidge. Your forehead is tipping forward. Really try to keep your forehead and your chin even for me. It's better though than it was the first round. And holding it. Challenge yourself to hold for 5 seconds. Feel free to take breaths while you're holding it. That's totally fine. And then lowering when you feel like you really can't hold your head any longer. Perfect. Let's do 5 more seconds here. Those are looking great. Really good. You guys are doing great. All right, perfect. Now we'll go on to our final move, the half kneeling rotations once again. Oh my gosh, you guys are the best pets ever. Okay, so arms out straight, whether we have the band or not, we're checking for even hips, settling down into that hip on the leg forward side. That's usually the side likes to hike. Arms are straight, we're stretching long through our pinky side of our arm. Thumbs up works well, like a folded hand works well. Even if you have the band, holding it in that kind of interlaced fingers is great. Okay, so Allison, I would like you to keep your hips still on this, and we're just moving our rib cage. All right, Marianne, you're looking great. So Allison, I'm gonna have you actually even just drop your arms for just a sec. What I want you to do is, let me match you. So left, okay. So I want you to place your hand on your right ribs, and I want you to feel that they're coming toward your left hip. And now I want you to let that go. Yeah. So it's really, really little. Let's go ahead and switch sides, Mariama. And Allison, you can switch sides too. Sometimes feeling what we're trying to work with our hands can be helpful. So the arms can kind of make it more complicated. So really connecting to that action of like closing my belly, closing it. And then once you've done that, you can go back to arms straight and try to replicate that feeling. Good. Nice. And then holding and breathing is another wonderful way to work it. Having that good mind-body connection can help us feel what version is working best for our body. Let's do 5 more seconds here. Good work. A little bit of a rounded back is nice here as well. So making sure that we're not arched in our lower back. Perfect. Awesome. You guys can stop. Okay, so real quick before I open it up to questions, I just wanted to grab my pelvis model. So I don't know if you guys have had kids or not. I know you have fur puppies and cats, but We'll get to talk in a second, I promise. But so this is the pelvis, so just for anyone who's watching as well. So basically when we are pregnant, and even if we've never had kids, a lot of athletes have what we call an opening in our pelvic inlet. And I'm going to exaggerate it more than it is in real life, but it's open versus this is normal. So when we have this opening, what ends up happening is our diastasis is more likely to be open, and also we're more likely to have trouble being really quick when we try to run and sprint and turn, because our pelvis is broader versus being more narrow like this. So when we squeeze something between the femurs like that, when we squeeze that, what that does is it pulls our pelvis in. So that's a cool trick you can use for any of your ab work, really. Like I even had it in my gymnastics club where sometimes we'd do things like leg lifts or hollow holds and would squeeze a foam block between our ankles. And I actually didn't know why we would do that at the time, but now I completely get it. It's just designed to help our adductors, our inner thighs, and also just our whole system work better. So I'm gonna stop talking now and open it up to questions because I've been talking a lot. So if anybody wants to hop in and ask me something or tell me a little bit about you and why you're here, I'm all ears. And I'll check the chat in the meantime and see if there's anything there. So there's people wanting videos and stuff. Cool. All right. So does anyone want to talk to me?
Yeah, I had 2 C-sections.
Okay.
But then I ended up going to, sorry, I can't get the video. Wait, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm good. Oh, there we go. I went to PT for about 6 months and I didn't even know I had it until my friend like told me what it was, because nobody like at the hospital ever mentioned it was a thing. So, but after my second C-section, I was noticing I had like a weird like bulge in my stomach when I would try to do things. It was a lot harder to do ab work. So I went to physical therapy for about 6 months and then it was able to correct itself. So I had like about probably like one fingertip of like a separation between my abs after doing a lot of exercises. So I was really happy with that. And I just like to like, it's nice to have a class like this because I teach gymnastics and I did gymnastics growing up. Oh, cool. But just knowing I can still do things again is nice to know, because I thought I would never be able to do certain things again.
Oh, yeah, good for you. That's great. No, that's awesome. And as you probably know, one finger is considered normal, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's perfect. That's great.
I thought I had 2 or 3 before that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're a coach, so like I know not a ton of teen girls probably have diastasis, but I do know some girls on my team, because I used to work out with high school girls that they pulled ab muscles, or they had like, a large space. And it's like, I know there are some girls that do need this stuff. There's probably not a ton, but it's out there. So I think it's good for gymnastics coaches to be exposed to it and to understand what it is.
I didn't even know you could get it without having kids.
Oh, you totally can. I actually,
okay.
So I got mine from surgery. I have not had children, but I've had 2 major abdominal surgeries. They both ended up getting infected, which caused them to like, it was a whole thing of like them splitting apart and stuff. But long story short is like, I might've even had it before my surgeries. I don't really know, but so for sure, like people can have without kids, and men as well. I've helped a lot of men with it as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But it was nice to meet you on here and watch.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
Awesome. Cool.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. So Mariama, did you just pop something in the chat? I found it. Okay, cool. So the single leg lifts. That is a good question. So for that movement, what I would say, so her question was for those who are watching later on, I found that when I was doing the single leg lifts, I wasn't sure if I should be recruiting my glutes or not. For that move, I'd rather that you don't purposely recruit them, because the focus is more on the abs. So if you're, say, doing the double one and you're like, oh, I can't do it unless I clench and squeeze my glutes, then I would say, let's maybe do this for a little bit. I personally had to do this one for a few weeks before I could really properly do the double leg one. And I was pretty strong when I learned these. It's not really about how strong you are. It's about what muscles are showing up. However, you will recruit the bottom glute to stabilize yourself. So going back to this for just a second, if I'm here and I'm doing like 0 with my bottom glute down here, I'm going to end up rolling back. And that's not what we want. So yes, you're going to get a little bit of engagement for this guy here, right? But it shouldn't be like a clenching situation where you're squeezing it really, really hard. That's a little bit, I would say the exercise is a bit too challenging for you if you're needing to do that.
Right.
Did that make sense? Awesome. Does anyone else have any more questions? So that kitty looks so much like my kitty.
That's so funny. We just got her like a month ago.
Yeah, she's
Actually,
little,
exactly a month.
super little.
Yeah, she's only 3 months old. We have her sister too, you saw before.
Oh, that's great. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, well, if nobody has questions, oh, before I go, let me actually just make sure, because I made notes and I have to double check my notes or else I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, so I just wanted to mention the next call I have planned is about rib cage angle. So going back to my belly for a second here, what we could do with that is if we put our hands on our stomach and we measure approximately how wide our rib cage angle is. Having a diastasis correlates with a wider rib cage angle, and this is another thing that a lot of athletes have. So my next call is going to be working on bringing that angle in, which, like I said, obviously correlates with diastasis, but you can have a wide angle without a diastasis and vice versa. So it's a little bit different. There'll be a different circuit for that we'll do. And then I just wanted to mention too, that if anybody does want or need some extra help, I do offer one-on-one visits. You can always email me if you'd like to talk about those. My email is mastersgymnastics@gmail.com. And I will have a recording of this call available for you guys, as well as a little PDF to go with it too, so you can see the listing of the exercises and you can maybe work on it. If you do want to improve your abdominal strength, I recommend trying to do these moves 2 to 3 times a week for 2 to 3 sets. It should take no longer than 20 minutes. And then if you're doing that and you're doing really well, you'd probably want to progress stuff a little bit, or you could just segue into your gymnastics conditioning once you feel like your body is doing great. So unless anybody has any other questions, that will be it for tonight and we can all sign off.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Bye.